please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to a Megon 2 Electric Boogaloo. Today we're going to be responding to two videos, I think. Both of these videos come from the Twitter of Libs of TikTok. The first accompanies the tweet, "People now have different sets of pronouns which specific identity groups are allowed to use for them." We have, oddly enough, on this channel discussed this novel idea that if you're a close friend you get to use these pronouns. But if you are of the oikory peasantry general public populace, the NPCs of the world, you get a separate set of pronouns to use to address the god tier person. Yeah? Okay. A concept I find quite silly on the face of it because you are tokenizing, trivializing the very concept of what gender is. You are creating barriers because apparently you have to be within an inner circle. Maybe your thetan level has to be at a certain point. Donate X amount of dollars, to my Patreon of course, to be able to address the individual by the pronouns that they consider the most coveted, which is quite strange. I'll admit, perhaps the video will illuminate us to this individual's perspective.
Happy Pride, everybody. I already mentioned this in my story, but I've added a new set of pronouns to the pronouns that I'm comfortable being called.
Well, life is a form of exploration, is it not? Seemed inevitable that people would flip-flop on what their identity is to suit their mood, or, I don't know, whatever it is that happens to us as we get older. I have a query. Perhaps you'll see this and answer it. How come you all look the same? Everyone I've responded to within this genre, yeah, all seem to look identical. So while trying to be unique, you are anything but. Just a query.
I've been sitting on Fair's pronouns for a while.
What on earth are Fairs? Okay, I've had to Google this. Yes, Google is perfect for this. They are a gender-neutral or gender-inclusive pronoun that does not associate a gender with the individual who is being discussed. Oh boy. Also considered neo-pronouns could be used in singular form. For example, instead of saying she, say Faye. Faye is a name, so that's strange. This is different than they pronouns which use plural form. They is, they are. I'm starting to understand why many people get a migraine at the notion of this. For example, you have per, pers, perself. Viva, vis, oh Jesus Christ. You've got X, Y, and R as well. I didn't realize we were doing chromosomes. Well, you certainly know how to make this complicated, don't you now? If these are the pronouns you have been using, what have you changed your pronouns to?
And honestly, kind of psyching myself out about it. I'm like, oh, do I really want to change this again? And then I realized, I was like, who cares?
Apparently you do. Apparently you think of it like redecorating a room. It has to be feng shui. It has to fit the mood. It has to represent more of your character. And by that I don't mean your actual personality, I mean the character you apparently are portraying. As if your life on TikTok is some kind of online drama. Constant identity crises. No doubt brought on by some form of confusion, but also desperate need to be the center of attention. So who cares? Look into a mirror, and the answer should present itself.
If I decide that I don't like them, I can just stop using them.
I hope you realize by saying this how it comes across as trivializing gender expression, or gender identity as a whole. Gender expression generally does take a form of trivializing to a degree. It really does. But if your identity matters so much to you that you would change it on a whim, that just tells me you are remarkably indecisive. You can say and try and seem more prophetic while you're doing it, not actually pathetic, which is what you really are, that this is all a part of your life's journey to understand you. But the reality is, all you understand is nothing, because you haven't understood who you are at all.
My other thing about this new set of pronouns is that I would only like for queer and trans people to use them for me.
Also, it's not compulsory then, that's nice. What about people who are not queer or trans that I choose to identify as such? How are you going to be certain someone is not queer or trans? Beyond them telling you, do you have to have some kind of immutable proof to go with it? I only say this because within your circle of trust, surely there's going to have to be a few concessions made. Also, broadcasting this to the internet, it's a brave move, I'll give you that. Because it's not as if the internet isn't totally loaded with people who can be considered dicks, who will just troll you for putting this out there.
Cishet people, they, them. Queer and or trans people, you can use they, them, or they, fair.
So you want the cis-het people to call you they, them, which means in a pluralistic sense you want to be addressed in that manner. But those who are trans or queer get to refer to you as neo-pronouns used in singular form that do not associate with the gender. Isn't that what non-binary is? Not associating with a gender. How is this getting more complicated than it already is? In fact, why? Oh, you know what? I'm going to get a migraine if I carry on trying to understand someone who themselves does not understand themselves.
It's all good with me.
X to doubt.
I'm excited because fair pronouns make me feel very affirmed in my not feeling like a person.
Well, it's fascinating you mentioned not wanting to feel like a person, because being a person is a human right. If you do not identify as a person or a human, then you do not deserve human rights. I'm applying the logic of your own reasoning here. By that extension of not having human rights, you do not deserve or have earned are entitled to the respect of humans to address you as such, because humans have superiority on this planet and will treat other beings, entities, creatures as if they are inferior in some manner. This is about to get really interesting for you then, because that makes you an endangered species, I guess, of attention seeker. Zoo exhibits will be rather entertaining. Seeing as you are already quite well acquainted with the wooded realm, we can give you a tire swing, a tree, and a bucket to dump in.
It's all good with me.
By the way, when we talk about gender confusion, I'm going to insert another video I saw from someone else. I can't play the audio of it, which is why you now see it on the screen with nothing else. You can see that somebody then chooses their gender and identity based on how they wear their clothes, or what clothes they choose to wear. It is a form of trivializing, as if the idea of your gender expression is an accessory, perhaps one for every meal of the day, which by the way is a form of colonialism and racism. That's something else we'll cover a different time if you want to see that. The point, I guess, is a lot of young people are now in a position where, and I think I've proved it amply so far, they really don't know who they are. They don't know who they are, what their potential is, what they can accomplish. They put something on a pedestal because apparently hobbies are trivial, although this can loosely be considered a form of Pokemon. Gotta catch all the genders. So perhaps we'll go to the second video. Second video discussing the differences in gender. No, no, no. Not you. Your obnoxious delivery is not required for this. We're going to go to something even more cringe.
When you're born, a doctor might say that you're either a dude or a gal.
Might say? You know, I could almost be certain they do in fact say that. It's a boy. It's a girl. It's a rather red-looking skittle with arms and legs. And if you're that person, congratulations, you've given birth to the world's first human Klingon.
But in reality, gender goes way deeper than that.
You know, I might have changed my mind. The cringy delivery of that one line earlier is making me nowhere near as uncomfortable as watching Bill and Ted's knockoff deliver in the most, yeah, I'm cool, radical kind of cowabunga way. I might have a brain aneurysm this.
If the doctor says that you're a dude and you grow up and still feel like a dude, that means that you're cisgender.
How dare you assume? Are you labeling me without my consent? This sounds like hate speech. Surely that's against TOS.
Cis, meaning same.
I think somebody needs to be introduced to the word cistern. You know, that thing you use to store water for flushing toilets. I could be a pedantic shit too, you know.
You're the same gender that you were assigned at birth. That's totally righteous, but not everybody feels that way.
If any of you watching this are cringing because of this video, I highly recommend you just ride it. Just ride it like a wave. You'll find that the pain will subside and you'll be left with a dull thudding feeling on half your brain. And before you ask, don't worry, there's more.
Say the doctor says that you're a dude, but then you grow up and you don't feel like a dude. Maybe you feel like a gal. That means that you're transgender. You're a different gender than the one that you were assigned at birth. Like me. The doctor said that I was a dude, but I thought, nah, I feel like more of a gal.
Isn't it lovely when someone inserts their own personal experiences of gender and identity to make the video more relatable? So far, it's all been quite educational. A few errors here and there, but nothing too surprising, really. And of course, many of you will undoubtedly be remarkably uncomfortable with the delivery manner of this video, which seems to be an amalgamation of, again, Bill and Ted and some really bad 80s clothing. The shoulder pads, I don't know if they're authentic or not.
Whatever your gender identity or expression is totally valid, and I think that makes you Nito Bandito. There are a lot more gender identities than just cisgender and transgender, and we'll get to those next time.
If I have anything to do with it, I will not be responding to any videos from you in the future. I don't think I can deal with the levels of discomfort I have had to deal with by looking at your video and cutting it to then go back to your video. Let's not. Nah. Thanks for the free education though. I feel highly illuminated. Where's that Exterminatus button?